Welcome to episode 4 of The Final Glass, season 2, where we are discussing history and movies this season because the real world is just too much. So we're going to discuss the real world of the past. I'm Ruthie.
And I'm Jacob.
And today we're going to be discussing the Good Soldier Schweik.
We are. And our show is called The Final Glass because of the quote by
an Oscar Wilde quote.
And the quote is, after the first glass, you see things as you want to see them. After the second glass, you see things as they are not. And after the final glass, you see things as they are, which is
the most horrible thing of all.
Now, he was talking about absinthe, but I would argue that it would apply to rakia.
I would argue that he is talking about a real human truth there, because I don't think anybody is strong enough to see the real truth of themselves. That includes me. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So let's start with your ensemble really quick, as usual.
Yes.
So the quick version.
The quick version is I had laser eye surgery. And so when I look at bright studio lights, I get these starbursts in my eyes, and it's really distracting.
Yeah. So he wears his sunglasses at night.
Exactly.
Or in the day, as it is today.
But in the studio at any rate.
Yes. And during the course of our taping, we are usually joined by one or both of our cats. They have very strong opinions about everything we talk about. Sometimes they join in with the talking. So we'll see what happens with that today. So that being said, and there we go. There's Maggie. Maggie is, my cat, Jadwiga, is a bit less athletic.
Aggressive.
Well, she finds it a little harder to jump on top of things than Maggie. So
yes.
So let's go ahead and start with our booze. I'll go first. Mine, I'm doing a Croatian bottled liqueur called Canela. It's kind of like an apple and cinnamon. It's actually kind of very fall-y, and this is summer. But I'm feeling the apple cinnamon vibe. So, and I am mixing it with the Yugoslav answer to Coca-Cola, which was Kokta, still available today. And I have never met anyone who has tried Kokta and been like, I really hate it. It is amazing. I don't know why this is not mass sold in most places. There's another one, a Croatian kind of orange drink that was maybe Yugoslavia's answer to Tropicana, possibly. It's called PP.
Yes.
I don't drink that one as much, but Kokta makes a regular appearance.
It does. And I'm going to be having the Eastern European version of brandy. And here that's called rakia.
Yes.
So this is Dunya.
Dunya, yes.
Which is pears.
No. Dunya is quince.
Quince.
That does look like a pear.
Looks like a pear, but it is quince.
Yes.
So this stuff is...
and it's divna. Yes. So it's great.
It is incredibly strong.
Are you going to toss it back?
I'm going to toss it back.
Or you're going to be utterly useless for the rest of the day.
Like a true Eastern European. Also, like a true Eastern European. So we should note that the Czech Republic, or Czechoslovakia, as it was at the time of...
No, it wasn't. It was at the time of Schweik. It was a part of the Austro-Hungarian Empire.
It was the Austro-Hungarian
So it's Bohemia.
Yes, it was Bohemia, but the people did speak Czech.
Yeah, and let's also mention that Sophie Chotek, who was married to Franz Ferdinand, and with him in Sarajevo when he was also assassinated at the same time, which is the event that sets off the Good Soldier Schweik.
It is.
She was from a Bohemian family. Yeah. So there are a lot of threads here.
There are. Yeah. But the movie was from Czechoslovakia.
The movie that we watched, because there are a bunch of versions. Yeah. So let's go ahead and na zdravia.
Na zdravia. Oof.
Yeah, see, I choose things that I actually like.
Wow.
And this liqueur is actually bottled in Rijeka in Croatia, which has the most intense I think, and fantastic. Carnival, which is basically Mardi Gras here, you must go. It's a
This liqueur is bottled probably from a bathtub.
but it's divna.
Yes.
It's divna. So anyway, so let's start with the Good Soldier Schweik.
So do you want to talk a little bit about the book first that the movie's based on?
Let's start with the movie and then we'll go into the book when we're talking about it. So the movie actually had a much or the movie itself, it was only one part of the book.
And this is the 1954
No,
movie.
no. We watched the 1986 Czech puppet version. Ours was the one we watched. So there are a whole bunch of versions of the Good Soldier Schweik out there. A bunch of them. Mainly German. I think Germany produced the most.
Let's cut real quick.
Okay.
We watched the 1950s.
No. Okay, we actually had to cut there for a minute because there is some argument over which version we watched. So we watched a version on YouTube and it was made by the Czech Puppet Theater. And you think it was made?
I think it was based on the original movie. I think we watched the original 1954 movie.
Okay.
So this is YouTube. So the version that we got was put out 4 years ago, but it was done in 2013.
Okay, so I think the version we watched was from the 1986 version.
Yeah.
By the Czech Puppet Theater. So, in any case, puppets, if you have watched Gumby,
yes,
you've kind of gotten the idea of where this version of Schweik comes from.
Ярослав Гашек. Похождения бравого солдата Швейка. Рисунки народного художника Йозефа Лады. Текст читает лауреат.
And again, like we talk quite often about being Gen X. When you're Gen X, being Gen X is a very big part of your identity. Flannel and all. This was a form of entertainment that we all grew up with.
Yeah.
And so even though it seems like it's done for children, it was something that we watch and love. Mm-hmm. Not just the puppet portion of it, the puppet stop motion portion of it, but also it's interspersed when Schweik tells his stories, it's interspersed with
true animation.
True animation done in a style that we are very familiar with as children of that time period.
Резиновый дед. Это произошло как раз перед 1 мая. Мы находились в полной боевой готовности.
And it is incredibly nostalgic for us.
And even the version that we watched worked on multiple levels because the original version was barely released by the communist authorities in 1954. And then subsequent versions were later banned. But we watched a version that was in Czech, but was dubbed to Russian with English subtitles.
Yes, it was really interesting, very interesting, especially seeing where the translations were interesting. So it was like, for me in English, because I do not speak either Czech or Russian, I was the third layer of translation.
And it was clearly something that had been lovingly maintained
very much so.
From someone's family records before it was put out on YouTube.
Yeah. And so we'll actually put a pop-up of where you can find this on YouTube. Yeah. It is so worth the watch. It is absolutely worth the watch. But if you do not speak Russian, you do have to pay attention to it the whole time because you do need to see the subtitles or you'll miss something.
Yeah.
So the Czech Puppet Theater that put this together, their attention to detail was amazing and astounding. It was just incredible. Even right down to they shrug, they take a deep breath. You see all of that movement in the soldiers. And I see Maggie watched it with us. And like a good Slavic cat, Maggie is actually originally from Bosnia and Herzegovina, from Sarajevo.
Yeah.
She has strong opinions about it.
So the stylistic the style of the movie was that the puppets were only partially animatronic and very not animatronic, but only used partial expressions. And so the artistic license with it was that you had to create all of these emotions with just using very small expressions of the puppets. And one
Which
thing
they did.
yeah, the eyebrows, the shrugs, there were only a few things they could do. So there was creative license taken within a complex, with a simple medium, a complex
Yes.
license within a simple medium.
And the artistry, again, it is unfathomable to me how creative these people were. It was the people who put this together. It was so creative and so much attention to detail, right down to when he falls. I love when at the end of the movie he falls down a
Hill.
yeah, he falls down a hill and it's all snowy and it creates the line of snow behind him.
И так на свете слишком много народу. Всем стало тесно. Всем стало тесно. Лезут.
And the part where the arresting constable he gets trapped on a ice and it just shows him flailing and moving around. The attention to detail is just absolutely astounding. So we only watched one part of this and it was kind of the middle part.
Yeah. So the animation was about the middle part. In the beginning part of the book, Schweik, basically it's his induction into the army.
Well, yeah, but it starts out before. It starts with Franz Ferdinand being assassinated.
Yeah.
So let's really quick the type of book that the Good Soldier Schweik was. And the book itself, actually, I had to write this down because I cannot remember it. The title did not start out The Good Soldier Schweik. It was The Fateful Adventures of the Good Soldier Schweik During the World War. Very long.
Yeah.
But typical for a Slav to write something. You have to explain. People can't be expected to figure it out on their own. That's ridiculous.
So and the style is kind of absurdist.
Absolutely absurdist, yeah.
Yeah, and it was a very successful. It's probably the second most popular anti-World War I book after All Quiet on the Western
Yeah,
Front.
after Remarque.
Yeah, and so
But it is also the single most translated book in Czech.
Yeah.
So it is known all over. I think it's more popular in the Slavic world.
Yeah.
I think the absurdity used is a hallmark of Slav cultures.
And it's essentially a man who is struggling against the system with stupid compliance.
Yes.
Rather than with any kind of resistance at all. It's not even passive resistance.
Right.
It's malicious compliance. And so he complies with everything he's told to do.
Yes.
But the things he's told to do are so stupid that they end up undermining the cause of his torturers.
Yes. And I was reading a military historian from Houston, and he had the best quote about it. He said that the army relies on people not following orders because in general, the orders are so stupid that if you follow them, chaos ensues, which is the genius of Schweik.
Yeah.
Швейк, у нас украли чемодан. Осмелюсь доложить. Осмелюсь доложить, господин обер-лейтенант.
Schweik he follows the orders to the letter, and chaos ensues.
Yeah.
So it is not only an absurdist look, but it also is a look at all of this huge. So I would say the Austro-Hungarian Empire was the EU before the EU was the EU, because you had all of these huge disparate ethnicities and nationalities under this one umbrella. Never mind the fact that it was a dual monarchy, because even the monarchy couldn't be a singular thing. It had to be two nations and one emperor. So that in itself leads to all this absurdist, and it leads to this story where a lot, and this is how he portrays the Czechs in the story, they're fighting a war they don't understand for an empire they have no loyalty to. And everything kind of stems from there. Anyone who has experienced bureaucracy is going to relate to the things in Schweik. Whether you experience your bureaucracy in Eastern Europe, Central Europe, the United States, China, this is a universal.
And the Czechs like to call themselves the victims of history because so many things have happened around their country in the
Yes.
in the 20th century.
Not just the 20th
Yeah, not
century.
just the 20th century, but they like to see themselves as victims of history, but that doesn't stop them from mocking it. And Schweik is a mockery of that whole bureaucracy and the whole system and the ridiculousness of. So during the second and third part of the movie, he's suspected of being a Russian spy.
Вы говорите по-русски. Осмелюсь доложить. Не говорю.
And one of the reasons that they use for him being suspected of that is the fact that he refuses to admit that he speaks Russian. And that's only because he doesn't speak Russian.
Yes.
And so he tells the absolute truth, but that brings him into under even more suspicion.
Right. And it seems, when you say it out loud, it seems ridiculous and it doesn't seem, but then when you watch it, it's just this comedy of errors and you see how you get to that point.
Yeah.
And you begin to see that in your own life as well.
And he doesn't carry any supplies with him, including he doesn't carry any sketches of Austro-Hungarian positions or anything, because he doesn't need to do the sketches because he's not a spy. But his interrogators view that as the fact that he is so clever, he's so smart, that he's committed everything to memory, and so he doesn't need to bring notes with him, which again becomes further evidence that he is a spy.
So I think that in the West, a movie scene that is much like this that people can relate to would be the scene from The Princess Bride, where Wesley is arguing with the Sicilian, and the Sicilian is like,
Now, a clever man would put the poison into his own goblet because he would know that only a great fool would reach for what he was given. I'm not a great fool, so I can clearly not choose the wine in front of you.
but you cannot have the poison in front of you because obviously I would think that you switched it out and it would be in front of me.
And so then it can't be
Yeah.
in front of me because you know that I know.
Exactly. And it is basically another version of this part of Schweik.
And there are echoes of kind of Eastern European Slavic literature. Catch-22 has echoes
Yes.
in U.S. English language literature of this kind of
Yes.
absurdism, where war is satirized by those people who fight it simply by following their own orders.
Yes, absolutely. And it again, to me, Eastern and Central Europe, particularly these Slav communities, they use absurdist humor to make, it's kind of dark humor. It's making fun of things that are not funny, but you have to find fun. You have to find humor in them so that you can keep going. And this is how historically Slavs have dealt with really crappy hands they've been dealt. Really, and they make fun of it. One of my favorite examples of this actually happened during the 90s, during the war, the breakup of Yugoslavia. And there was a commercial made of a Bosnian running through where the snipers were during the siege of Sarajevo. And he makes it through, even though there's bullets, he makes it through at the end and he flips the bird.
Faster than a bullet.
So this is absolutely on track with Slavic humor. And I think it's a good book to read or movie to watch if you're looking to understand that part of the world. I think the West thinks they understand that part of the world far more than they actually do.
Time to see things as they're not. So a word about the seal on this Slivovica, which is a plum brandy, which is a form of rakia that's very popular, again, in Eastern Europe. So when we moved from one house to another,
We move a lot.
we had movers come and take our alcohol for us.
They were aghast. You can't leave that behind.
Yeah. And
Eastern European movers.
But
you can't leave that behind.
but you also can't move alcohol which has been opened.
Yes.
So their solution was to put packing
To
tape
unopen it
to unopen.
for us.
Yeah,
Yes.
even though this wasn't open at all, but they
still,
considered it.
I mean, I appreciate it. They were very careful. They were more careful with the alcohol than they were with our other stuff.
with our couches. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I mean, levels of importance here.
Exactly.
Where was this bottled?
So plum brandy.
Yes, but it doesn't say where it was bottled. It does back here. Ah, Zadar.
Zadar.
Yeah, that's from Zadar. One of my favorite places to visit in Croatia, and one of the places that I highly recommend people go to. Everybody goes to Dubrovnik and they go to Split, and those are great places to go. Absolutely amazing. I really highly recommend Zadar.
So this is the Maraska distillery. And even though Maraska doesn't make lighter fluid or car engine cleaner, I think it should.
Well, they could. Remember, during COVID, everybody was turning it into,
Medicinal alcohol.
excuse me,
I'm smelling it.
Nazdravia.
Zdravia.
Twice. Okay.
Oh.
So, the writer of the Schweik book was Jaroslav Hasek, and he had a very interesting life. And actually, he did start writing the Good Soldier Schweik before he was ever a soldier. However, he was inducted into the army in 1914, I think, and sent to the front, and then hijinks ensued. And he ended up being captured and sent to a prisoner of war camp in Russia, where he took part in the revolution. At first, he was on the side of the white side of the Russian Revolution. He wrote anti-Bolshevik articles, but then he became a Bolshevik, and then he was sent back to Prague to organize the communist movement in Czechoslovakia, and didn't do very well at that. And he although he never said that he never renounced his communism, he kind of returned to bohemianism after that, which is probably why he died young. He died in 1923 before he finished the Schweik.
Yeah,
books.
not having finished his book.
Yeah, he finished the first 3 parts. It started on the 4th part. There was someone who kind of finished them afterwards, but it didn't have the same ring to it.
And there was something tremendously apropos. The journey of Schweik is to get to the front line. And the author...
In the part that we watched.
Yeah, in the part that we watched. But even in the books, the author the Schweik never makes it to the front line. So it's kind of this unfinished journey.
It's a series of unfortunate events that happen, but probably planned. So they're probably fortunate
Yes.
events. So I actually wrote down how this works for Schweik. So first, he is arrested, and he tries to be like more Catholic than the Pope, supporting the emperor. He says that's what he is, but he's still arrested because when you're too supportive, that is suspicious. To Slavs, everything is suspicious, though, and that's an important thing to understand. So first, he is arrested and he is put in prison. Then when he's in prison, he is certified insane and he's sent to a madhouse. But then he is let out of the madhouse and sent to the hospital because he has arthritis. Then he is released from the hospital. He becomes what is called a Batman, not like the one in the sky. But if you remember Downton Abbey, the butler that they hire, what was his name? Okay, well, that's your loss.
Well, I've been waiting at the back door. I knocked, but no one came.
So you pushed in?
I'm John Bates, the new valet.
The butler in Downton Abbey, or no, the valet in Downton Abbey, he, with the bad leg, John something. Anyway, he was the Batman.
But it's like an assistant to an officer.
Yes. And then he's lost in a card game and he's attached to a different lieutenant. And at this point, he has to go to the front. But on his way to the front, he gets in a fight. He misses all the trains. He walks around. And it's just basically a comedy of errors. When he is arrested for the fight, this is like kind of the last part. He actually is promoted at the same time, which is a kind of ridiculousness that happens in the military. Anyway, so this is like this whole comedy of errors. And Hashik basically based this on people that he experienced. So, including one of the most important parts of the book one of the most important settings in the beginning of the book, which was Uchalicha, the pub.
Yeah.
So the pub actually did exist, although there's no record of Hashek actually going there or hanging out there. It did exist. And then it was reopened in 1955 because of the book. We have been there. We'll put up some pictures with that. I had the pork knuckle. It was pretty good. I've had better, but it was pretty good. We were there for the ambiance, not for the cuisine. There are also a bunch of places called Schweik restaurants, especially in Prague. So if you're walking along the main drag and you see a Schweik restaurant, might be fun to visit. We did visit one of them. Not Uchalicha. You can visit Uchalicha, but it is nowhere near the main drag.
Yeah.
But worth it. So I totally forgot where I was. I guess it was the apple cinnamon alcohol from Rijeka.
Delicious.
Yeah. So where were we?
So we were talking about the fact that a lot of Slavic history happens in pubs. A lot of plotting, a lot of European history happens in pubs.
Pubs are important.
Pubs are important.
In Europe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. And another thing that I noticed in the book, so I read the book a long time ago. Women don't come off very well in this book.
No.
I mean, to be fair, nobody comes off very well.
Yeah.
But women really are not portrayed well. And this is kind of indicative of the author. He had some issues with women.
Yeah.
And he was married twice. He was a bigamist. He was a bigamist. He was married twice. For someone who had issues with women, I guess you had to get married.
Yeah. And you can say they had some issues with him.
Yeah, they definitely had some issues with him. He did have one kid. Yeah. And it was a boy, probably, thank goodness, because anyway, so the author, when he went from anarchist to socialist to communist to bohemian, and he really, it's interesting because in Russia, he is portrayed as a communist.
Yes.
So when they talk about this author, they're talking about him as a staunch, strong communist. And he was friends with Trotsky. So this was a thing. In what is now Czechia, he is actually considered a bohemian, which he was. Like, he was both things.
And in the movie, it makes fun of the monarchy wanting to shoot socialists and being worried about Russian infiltrators, which was true. But there are also elements of anti-socialism, the bureaucracy that grows up around socialism and around communism. So the author's later works were banned by the communist regime.
As they did this, as the Soviet Union liked to do for anything that incorrectly tickled their tonsils.
Or correctly.
Well, I would say if it was correct, it wasn't a tickle.
Yes.
It was a control of information is very important within the communist society, and not like a control of information because the algorithm does it. But so my favorite control of information is, of course, Ceausescu, because this man could not allow himself to age. And so you get these ridiculous airbrushed portraits of him as he gets older, where it's basically pre-Photoshop madness. Yeah. Photoshop before Photoshop. Yeah. Absolutely ridiculous. And then, of course, we have the disappearing photo with Stalin.
Yeah.
Which has been memified, I think, fantastically.
It has, yeah.
Yes. So one scene in the movie I wanted to bring up that I thought was funny was when Schweik is talking about the bald guy.
Yes.
in the tray.
Осмелюсь доложить, господин обер-лейтенант. Я однажды читал в газетах, что у нормального человека должно быть в среднем от 60 до 70 тысяч волос.
But he presents it as not insulting the bald man who's in the train compartment with them, but simply talking about how much hair the average person has,
Right.
and what happens and why people lose their hair.
Yes, and this is a theme with Schweik. Schweik loves to tell stories. Very Slavic. A Slav will tell you a story at the drop of a hat. And so he's talking about this, and he asks this person if he is, I think, the president of the Banka Slavia.
Yeah, an agent of the Banka.
Of the Banka Slavia. Of course, it's not. It's a major general, and he is extremely pissed at Schweik's. It's not insubordination. It's
childlike curiosity.
I hate it when you use that term, but it is something. And the thing is that the author, he actually did work for Banka Slavia, but not for very long. He could not hold a job.
Yeah.
So this was a theme throughout his life. He was unable to hold a job, even organizing for the Communist Party.
Like a lot of communists.
Yeah.
Working wasn't in his...
But a lot of communists, they were unable to hold a regular job, but then they could do the organizing for the Communist Party, because that's kind of just like, a party. You're like just hanging out with people and kind of agitating, and basically you're hanging out, right? Hanging out and creating mayhem.
Yes.
He was like unable to do that even. However, he was profoundly prolific. He wrote so much, and a lot of it has been lost. Mm-hmm. He wrote so much. He actually did have some kind of a work ethic, just only for writing.
Yeah.
Everything else could F off.
Yeah.
He wasn't going to do it. He had no interest.
And he really had a mind for satire. And
Yeah,
an understanding
he
of
captured it.
how to push the lines without moving into actual absurdity. There are elements of absurdity, but it still falls into satire. Because Schweik nothing supernatural happens, nothing fantastical happens, and there's no...
he's just an everyman.
He's just an everyman who is
trapped, smarter than everybody else by being stupid.
Yeah, who's trapped inside the system that the only way he can keep from being shot is compliance. But compliance itself creates chaos.
Absolutely. And with that, should we see things as they really are?
As they really are.
I still have stuff. We're filming this a little earlier than usual. I still have stuff I have to accomplish today, and I don't know how well that's going to happen.
So, this is the ultimate rakia, because this is truly homemade.
And this is pear.
This is pear.
Yes. Not dunya.
Krushka.
Krushka.
So in Russian, krushka is a glass.
Is it?
It is.
It's chasha.
Yeah.
So.
Also a glass in Russian. So this is truly bathtub rakia, which makes it the best possible.
And definitely Nazdravya.
Nazdravya.
Yes. Yeah, I do like this. Again, I'm going to push Carnival in Rijeka, which was a party I did not know existed. I went my first time this year. I had no idea. No idea. Like, I honestly, and this might get us some hate, I think it rivals Carnival in Brazil.
Oh.
I do. I'm just saying. I am just saying.
Well, I'm saying if alcohol on the outside of the body can cure wounds and cuts and damage, alcohol inside the body should be able to cure. Anyway, never mind. Wow, that stuff is...
Yeah, there's a lot. I mean, it's a lot, right? You're going to have to... I think you're going to be drinking a lot of electrolytes to kind of flush your system after this. So Schweik, absurdism, and Eastern Europe.
Yeah.
So we're actually going to be watching 2 World War I movies in this, and from different sides. So Schweik was the Austro-Hungarian German side. We're going to be watching Blackadder Goes Forth next to kind of get the Allied side. The Entente, right? I've had too much. I always get the sides mixed up when it comes to World War I. What?
It's the Allies.
The Allies.
Yeah. The Allies. So the Brits, the Americans, the Russians, the
But
Italians.
until 1917.
Yes, the
Until then.
Italians.
And surprisingly, the Japanese.
The Japanese.
The Japanese sided
The
with
French. Yeah. All allies.
the French. Yeah. They
Low
actually,
countries.
yeah, they sided with them in World War I. So how the turntables turned
But it's
post World War I.
yeah, and I think the literature of the time and then the comedies that were done afterwards were meant to capture some of the absurdity. One of my favorite memes is Squidward with a World War I helmet carrying a British rifle, saying, "I, an Englishman, have to die in the fields of France because
It's an actual quote
Bosnian Serb." It could be, but
from Blackadder.
Squidward said it as well, because a Bosnian Serb killed the Archduke of Austro-Hungary in Sarajevo.
Well, there's a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
It's a very long quote.
Yeah, it's a long quote, but
It's a very long quote. And of course, nothing was really decided, much like a lot of the conflicts that end nowadays. Nothing is decided. It's put off, and then resentments build, anger builds, and leads to this massive later blow up that reshapes the entire world. So this did actually reshape the world, because after the war, Czechoslovakia's position was very different than it was under the Austrian Empire.
It's true.
And it would be very interesting if the author had managed to live, instead of dying from an awful lot of alcohol abuse and what was it called when your heart basically gives up? It's not a heart attack. I'm sorry. This is
Cardiac.
I've had a lot.
Yeah.
At this point, and
Delicious.
if he had lived, it would have been interesting to see what else he had come up with to kind of describe what was going on at that time. It was a time of huge change.
Yeah.
Huge change. So, what are your final words about Schweik?
Just the absurdity of the time was captured in the literature that described the time. And without a history, without the ability to look back and study it, we can't learn from it. And so those who don't learn from it will repeat it.
And those who do learn from it have to watch everybody else repeat it.
Yeah.
So that was much more profound than my final thoughts, which is it's really funny and speaks to a lot of human truths that have nothing to do with Eastern Europe as well. It's basic. So, I mean, like, I can see elements of Hannah Arendt in the Schweik story, which is maybe I'm actually more Slav than we thought.
Could be.
If I'm running into Hannah Arendt when we're talking about the Good Soldier Schweik.
Could be.
That's possible. So, next week, Blackadder goes forth.
Another fun
Yeah.
parody.
And for now, to the final gloss.
Fun gloss.
What to do